After another third and fourth place finish, Mercedes is hoping to finally get back to winning at the Paul Ricard racetrack for the French Grand Prix. It's looking more and more like Mercedes has finally fixed some of the big problems that their first W13 car design gave them. We might see a Mercedes win very soon because the track in France is super smooth. Do you think Mercedes will be able to win the race in France? Tell us what you think in the comments below. So let's look at how Mercedes has been doing this season. Not many people would have guessed that Mercedes would be halfway through the season with their best finish being third place and barely any chance of winning. The Silver Arrows, who have been really strong for the past 10 years, built a car using the brand new rules that seems to have some serious problems because of how much it bounces. The team has been running around in circles trying to fix their problems, with 7 podium spots from 11 races, including third place in the last 4 Grand Prix races. The team has somehow managed to finish a racing weekend on the podium more often than not so far. This is pretty amazing considering how their car has been performing. Compared to the 14 podiums for Red Bull and 11 for Ferrari, including wins, the main championship contenders having a messed up season is mostly why all of this is happening. Both Ferrari and Red Bull have had lots of car breakdowns. A regular race for 5th place has often turned into a podium race, which Mercedes is now winning. Mercedes has been getting podium spots that their car speed hasn't really earned because their car never breaks down. This has also shown us something weird about 2022. Only Lando Norris has gotten a podium outside of the top 6 teams this year. With his performance at Imola, Mercedes' worst race of the season, the podium spots were much more open at this time last year when Norris had 3 podium finishes in the first 11 Grand Prix races. Pierre Gasly and Sebastian Vettel each had 1, and Esteban Ocon had already won his first victory in Budapest. All this even though the leaders have had problems more often this year than last year, Mercedes winning almost every time in the competition for best of the rest has made all the difference. They've basically created a wall between the lead battle and the determined midfield drivers. But now there are signs that they are getting control of the situation and moving back toward being real front-runners. In Barcelona, the team said they understood the car better thanks to George Russell briefly leading and Lewis Hamilton's quick comeback from a tire puncture on lap 1. Mercedes made just a tiny bit of noticeable progress from where they had been before Catalunya in the races that followed in Monaco, Baku, and Montreal. This made it hard to figure out whether the Spanish Grand Prix speed was just a one-time thing or proof of real improvement. The fact that those circuits are street circuits, which are naturally rough and bumpy, makes the picture unclear and shows the problems of the uncomfortable ride of the Mercedes. The team seemed to have a chance to win again with Hamilton when they were back on a regular racetrack at Silverstone and had made several upgrades, but it was obviously helped by the damage that stopped Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, and Charles Leclerc from competing. Austria wasn't supposed to be as strong, and it wasn't. But a rare pair of driver mistakes by Hamilton and Russell in qualifying were mainly to blame for that. Russell had a spin later into turn 10 and damaged his rear wing, forcing him to run an earlier version that was slower through the rest of the weekend. Hamilton was set for a lap to challenge the leading couple of rows in Q3 until losing control at turn 7 and hitting the barrier. Because of this, it's better to look at Hamilton's race performance to figure out the real speed of the Mercedes in Austria on Sunday. After the 7-time champion found clear air, it seemed to be a reasonably close match to Charles Leclerc's dominant Ferrari. He was able to pass several midfield drivers because of this, following Hamilton's third-place result and Russell's fourth-place finish with a penalty for contact with Sergio Perez at the start. Wolff said, "It's just that we're missing a few tenths here and there. I think we've had the gap over the last few months. We understand better, but we're still third, fourth. We're somewhere right in the middle of nowhere." But I would say, if I tried to pick the positives in race pace today, if we would have, which we didn't, started right in the top 6, probably we could have held on to Max Verstappen and not been so far away for sure. The qualifying crashes didn't help because even though you can start the car up and measure the car, it puts you on the wrong foot straight from the get-go. So we didn't expect to be really competitive here because of the nature of the track. It wasn't a happy place for us in the past, so I'm okay. We just need to continue to grind away. Would Mercedes have been closer to the front if the qualifying crashes didn't happen? Or could they have even competed for the win because of the setbacks of both Ferrari and Red Bull during the race? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up is the French Grand Prix, which has one of the smoothest circuits with mostly medium and fast turns. Mercedes has always done well there, and it definitely gives them their best chance to fight for a victory on their own merit so far this year. Will they finally win a race again? Hamilton will be hunting for it since he's right now going through his longest racing period without a win in his entire career. Hamilton will be looking to break this streak by winning at the Paul Ricard circuit. But before he'll be able to, they have another problem they must fix, because right now they have an issue with their qualifying performance. 3 times so far this season, it has looked like they would have the speed to fight for a victory. But in each case, Hamilton has been on comeback drives rather than taking the lead. Russell was in the lead in Spain while Hamilton was struggling because of the lap 1 crash with Kevin Magnussen, despite Hamilton seeming to have the faster car that day. Lewis was quick at Silverstone, but Mercedes disappointed in qualifying and then had to restart after a strong first launch, dropping Hamilton to 6th for a short time while Russell retired following the big lap 1 crash. Again in Austria, a crash on the opening lap took Russell out of podium contention, and Hamilton had too much to do to make a difference at the front of the race after the qualification crash. An okay sprint. The Mercedes race pace has been noticeably faster so far than their qualifying performance. They must show good one-lap speed on Saturday if they want to have a chance of winning on Sunday in France. It's one thing to have race pace to keep up with the leaders, but when you give up as much track position as they are currently, it will always be difficult to win. That is what has cost them in the last few races, but Mercedes are expected to pick the pace back up in France, where long straights and a smooth surface should help with some of the negatives of the W13 and help both drivers pick up the pace. Hotter cars should be okay, continued Wolff. It's a smooth circuit, a little bit like Silverstone, fast corners. And on paper, at least, it looks like we can have a good performance there. We are starting to see we are chipping away performance from the leaders, which is good. But we find ourselves in a situation which we have always discussed, which is one day after 8 consecutive titles, that series is going to break, and we want to make it a blip and not some kind of long cycle for a large portion of the seasons. Beginning, Mercedes had issues with understanding the W13. Wolff believes that this is no longer a problem and that the further gains the team needs to make are entirely because of performance. I think it's pure performance, the team boss explained. The bouncing thing I think we got on top of. I think if we were to go back to Monaco and Baku, we wouldn't be great. But for sure, we would not have the problems that we've seen a few weeks ago. It looks like Mercedes are going to be the dark horse for a victory at the Paul Ricard circuit. If they can nail their Saturday, that could be set for a fun Sunday. Let's not forget that it's highly likely that Carlos Sainz will take a new engine after his last one exploded in Austria, so that could free up a spot at the front of the grid for the start of the race. So, if Mercedes are able to nail qualifying and end up 4th and 5th or even higher, there is a high chance of finally really competing for the win, just like Lewis could do back in Silverstone. Mercedes are finally able to get the rewards of all their hard work and upgrades. And let's not forget that the car is highly reliable, which has given them a lot of points. So they are only 66 points behind Ferrari in second place of the Constructors' Championship, 122 points behind Red Bull, though we wouldn't go as far to say they are championship contenders. But if they've finally gotten on top of their car, they might be able to close the gap in the next half of the season. Do you think Mercedes will be able to compete for wins in the next races? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to stay updated with our content.